a nice aroma, and they're doing their meditation practice, right? Whether it's to be the realization of emptiness, completion stage, Tantra, and so forth. So using that time. Okay, we're not there yet, but we can familiarize. That's the whole point, is what I'm saying. So familiarizing. So death, intermediate state. So intermediate state, that state between the end of this life and the beginning. Oh yeah, I was going to say, sorry, going back, His Holiness, I think, had the scientists putting electrodes on the body. I don't know. Did anyone read about that? I mean, they have many times recently filmed holy beings in that Chogtum process. I mean, I've had the great fortune with Geshe Choden in Sydney to actually be able to visit or, you know, be there as the Lamas were doing the prayers and practices when he was in that state for, I think, I'm not sure if it was 10 days, it was quite some days. And of course, when Geshe Dawala passed away, some of us had the expectation that we would have that same permission, but we didn't. The room was totally sealed off from interferences, maybe, or, you know, from us. But we were able to see some photos, and which were quite remarkable. Okay, so that process. So the ordinary, and then the bardo, the intermediate state between the end of this life and the beginning of the next life, or end of one life, beginning of the next life, where we're in a very subtle body that can go through, that's unobstructed by objects, except for the future mother's womb. So it sort of like zaps into the future mother's womb, propelled by karma. But if we have control over that process, turning that intermediate state into the Sambhogakaya aspect, so that enjoyment body, literally, so the form body, that to benefit Arya beings, because only an Arya being who's a direct realization of emptiness can perceive that form. It's too subtle for us. They're there, but we can't perceive it, right? So we mentioned yesterday, Kandrila seeing His Holiness as Thousand Arm Chenrezig. So, and then death, intermediate state, and then rebirth into the form body of the Buddha, so arising in a form to benefit beings. So we could say His Holiness the Dalai Lama taking Buddha Chenrezig, but taking the form of a monk to benefit us. Or Shakyamuni Buddha taking the form of a saffron-robed monk, as we say, to benefit us. So this is... so through meditating on the death process with the idea of emptiness, our understanding of emptiness, this is what we're talking about. Lama Yeshe talks about that. I mean, they're called the 8 dissolutions at the time of death. And this is what, you know, when Lama Yeshe was, the terminology he used for emptiness, when we talked about renunciation, was emerging, bodhicitta, opening the heart, like just in that practice we've done and like we did yesterday. And then the emptiness one, dissolving, literally, because literally we will be dissolving at the time of death. So if we have that understanding of emptiness and familiarity with the process as we are actually dissolving, let alone we don't have control over that, let alone we can't keep the light of awareness on through that process, at least, I mean, the best thing is that the mind's not freaking out and we can turn our mind towards Dharma. I mean, ideally we could do many more practices, right? So this gives us that opportunity to familiarize for that practice. And then once one has, particularly in highest yoga tantra empowerment, some other meditations and so forth come along in relation to that process, which you've already got a foundation for, right? So you can see we're doing the building blocks here, okay? All good? Leonie's asking.
No, it's all good. Margot's put it on. Thank you.
Are we live on YouTube?
Yep.
Are we live on YouTube? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Leonie, we're live on YouTube. I don't know when you asked that question, but yes, we are. Okay. So I thought we could do this within the context of a practice of blessing the speech, because the other thing is both the death process, dissolution practice, and the blessing of this. I mean, all of it involves visualization, because this is all within, this is a Tibetan Buddhist center, it is Vajrayana practice, so that a lot of the practices you might have already done, even you say, well, I've never done this one, that's okay too, but all of them enable us to cut through our concrete, solid idea of ourselves and all other phenomena. In other words, it's constant transformation. And then when you do get an empowerment, it's almost like visualize this and visualize that. And it's like, whoa, 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 stop right there. There's too much going on. You might have experienced that already with Vajrasattva. Like, hang on a minute, there's too much happening here. And it is in itself a practice of dissolution of this one, of that one, of that one, you know, not because the mind grasps that, you know, I'll grasp at this visualization. We do that as well, right? So it's dissolving everything, right? So that's where we're going with this, I thought. So those who have the retreat book, sorry, haven't got it electronically to screen share. But in a way, if you don't worry, I'll just guide us all through the practice. But those who do have, it's on page 19. Okay, so before we go into that, just by way of setting our minds, segueing from the practice we just did into this one. So I was just looking at when we think about taking these three kayas, these three bodies into the path of Tantra, it's a different approach to that of Sutra. So, you know, in the Sutra path, and this is what we talked about so far up until this module, our main obstacle, and it's in fact true, to be eliminated is this ignorance, this confused mind, confusion energy, right? But in Tantra, what's seen as the main obstacle is this uncontrollable experience of death, the intermediate state, the bardo and rebirth. In other words, we say that, isn't it? Blown by the winds of karma or propelled by karma. In fact, we call the next rebirth, you know, the four aspects of karma when we did the karma module, the propelling karma or projecting karma. It's just like you're just thrown, which should be the experience when you can't have any control over it. Okay. So death occurs when the body and mind, death in the Buddhist context, just like birth. When does birth happen? Conception in the Buddhist context. In the Buddhist context, death happens when the very subtle wind energies of body and mind, you know, sort of are separate at the time of death. Okay, so this involves working with the subtle energies, subtle channels, like we did a visualization yesterday in relation to the main channels. Yeah, so that so the intermediate state is the state of the subtle mind after it has separated from this body. So this subtle mind that leaves this body. So this is why we had, as we've talked about previously, we have so much emphasis on, you know, leaving somebody's body untouched until the signs of their subtle mind leaving the body occurs. And the most, probably the most clear sign of that is that the heat, the warmth that contracts leaves from the heart, from the center of the chest, from there. We're just welcoming some visitors into the Gompa. Welcome. Okay, so, and then the rebirth, making contact with the next body. So that what we're doing here as we go through the dissolution process, instead of coming back into this ordinary form, which we could say was what happens at the time, you know, falling asleep. Did anyone happen to try and observe any dissolutions as you're falling asleep last night? Or was it lights off, out for the count? I think that's what it was for me. Yeah, gone. But, you know, I think we all have that experience, don't we? Of just that first stage where you're thinking, oh, it's time to go to sleep. The body starts to feel heavier, blurring of the vision, right? We can when we look at the earth element dissolving. But here in this one, what we're going to do is, like, when we get to that clear light of death through these dissolutions, like we did yesterday, think about that clear light experience, a clear light meditation, accessing that sort of subtlety. And it said, you know, it's, you know, it's the move. So it's a very subtle level of mind. And when that moves, then it's sort of like a rising new form, when that very subtle level of mind. So in our meditation, we can think, okay, for now, approximation, we get to that clear light, and then we want to have some taste of the bliss of emptiness, which, you know, we go, whatever that is. But whatever understanding we have of that, of having all appearance, not only all physicality dissolving by, you know, the dissolution of the elements, but also the dissolution of all the gross to subtler mental conceptions. So that the mind, the gross levels of mind, until we just get down to that most subtle energy of mind, and the most subtle body, which is a wind energy, which is what causes the movement, right? That then propels existence. Okay, so anyway, that's the intro. So those of you who are on that page, what we're going to do is take refuge, generate bodhicitta, and generate that expansive mind. And then we're going to pause there. In our books, for those who don't have the book, it says first purify the truly existent I into emptiness. So at that point, we're going to do the dissolution process. Okay? So we're going to pause there and do that. All right. We'll start with refuge, bodhicitta. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge in the three rare sublime ones. May I have become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. So we're going to what it says, purify the truly existent I. So the one that I grasp at falsely to be solid, permanent, the one I impute on top of what is there, what isn't there, that one. We'll do the, yes. So on one level, we're doing the, dissolving this physicality and the conceptual states of mind. But in that process, conceptual state of minds, we're relinquishing this truly existent I that we see on the basis of this body-mind continuum. Because at ordinary death, doesn't the mind just totally freak out of, I'm going out of existence, I mean, those of us who've been with loved ones dying, it can be very, very hard, the process of letting go, isn't it? Can be really hard, the process of letting go. So yes, that's right. And the more we practice that, the less our attachment to that. I think we were talking yesterday. So using the conceptual mind until such point as we have that direct experience. And then when we have that direct experience, then we have to meditate on that to stabilize that in our mind. But anyway, meantime, back here at this meditation. Okay. All righty. So turning your attention inwards. So away from any distraction for those of us here in the Gompo. It's wonderful to have people visiting, but turning our minds inwards into the space, within the space of the body. And imagine that you're in a very comfortable, safe setting, which indeed you are. And generate a mind of curiosity, of intrigue, of interest, to witness the changes that we're going to meditate on, the changes that happen during the transition to other levels of consciousness. Okay, so this is the purpose of this, is to familiarize, to try in our minds to get some close approximation of those more and more subtle levels of awareness of consciousness. So yesterday when we started our meditation practice, we were, sort of focusing on the, we did the meditation on the earth and the earth element in our body connected to the earth element below. So this earth element is the first element to dissolve. This is what we can experience when we're falling asleep, the sense of heaviness of the body. When the earth element loses its power, and the limbs become, we can think of the earth element as all the solid bits of the body. Our sense of solidity dissolves, right? So we hold this body, as I was saying yesterday with my shoulder. As soon as that dissolved, I was like panicked about this sort of solidity, sensation of solidity softening. But this is indeed what will happen more and more. And the limbs become loose, weak. And the experience might be like feeling like you're sinking under the earth or being buried alive. So the earth element dissolves in solidity. Our sense of solidity of the body dissolves with that. Try and get a sense of that. Body's weak, powerless. All your strength is sort of like drained away. And the skin, the luster, you know, the vitality is gone. And yesterday with the Vajrasattva mantra, we were talking about the, it mentions the ha 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 ho, you know, the 5 wisdoms. So here they come in this process. The basic mirror-like wisdom dissolves. And with that, your sight becomes unclear and dark, so not being able to see clearly appearances. And you can't open or close the eyes. So if we were able to familiarize with this, we could say, oh, this is what is happening right now. Interesting, isn't it? So that curiosity mind, curious mind. And each of these stages have an inner appearance. This one is, it said, an appearance of a mirage, like, you know, the sun on, you know, on the, say, the heat on the sand, or on the roads when the it's melting and there's that shimmering effect, you know. So that effect. But here, it's very effective in the practice of Tantra to think, I am a mirage. It really helps get that sense of dissolution of solidity. So just thinking like that, I'm a total hallucination, a mirage, a mere appearance. Okay, so this solidity of a body's gone. It's a sort of mere shimmery appearance. And the water element dissolves. So when the water element dissolves, all the fluidity in the body dries up, isn't it? Saliva, the, you know, inner tear ducts, sweat, urine, blood, you know, everything. So the body becomes lose even more life power, becomes very dry, looks brittle, looks thin, weak. And at this point, you can no longer experience the sensations in the body. So this is so first of all is the form aggregate dissolving, and now the feeling aggregate, the feeling aggregate not being emotions, being your feelings of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feelings. All of that dissolve, those consciousnesses accompanying that dissolve. And then the basic wisdom of a quality, which is our ordinary awareness of pleasure, pain, or neutral feelings dissolve. And you're no longer aware of those sensations, those feelings. And the inner appearance, the inner vision or appearance, what appears to our mind is either like smoke-filled space. Sometimes they say it's like incense, a lot of incense burning in the space, or smoke within smoke coming out of a chimney. But anyway, that you can think, I am that smoky evaporation. And at the same time, the ear sense has gone. So you're no longer aware of either external sounds or internal sounds. In other words, you can't hear those around you, nor are you aware of inner sounds in the body. And then it's this mere, I am this mere smoky appearance. So you can see even more subtle. So the earth elements dissolve, the water elements dissolve. The next one, the fire element, which is the warmth in the body, loses its power. At this point, you can no longer digest food or drink. Your nose sense, so this is where your inhalation, you know, the breath in becomes weak. This is where if you've been with someone who's dying, you can see there's a long breath out and you wonder if the next breath's going to come in. This is this stage. Can't smell because the nose sense is gone. So you can see the senses are completely, this time, going for good. So all warmth within the body goes from the extremities into the center. And the aggregate of compositional factors, which is mental factors, factors of the mind, dissolves. You're unable to engage in any physical action. In other words, can't move. You can't experience smoothness or roughness. So, you know, your contact with, say you're in a bed or whatever, you can't feel those experiences. And this is the basic wisdom of achievement. In other words, of being able to do things, of achieving activities, dissolves. And so you're completely not aware anymore, basically, of this life, of external activities, internal activities, worldly activities, of any sense of purpose. So, you know, just think how much our sense of purpose gives us a sense of ourself. It's completely gone now, forever, like gone. And the tongue is when it becomes quite thick and short, you know, and the root of the tongue becomes blue, sort of in the back of the mouth. And this vision, this internal appearance, is like, described like, oh, sorry, I jumped ahead. Fire, am I? Sorry. Where were we? Back here. Factor of discrimination. Not mindful of people close to you. I skipped. The basic wisdom of analysis. You can no longer remember the names of close people. And this appearance internally is like fire sparks or fireflies, you know, or you know how when there's smoke and there's just little embers flying, fire sparks within that, or yeah, like that, fire sparks. And the next one, the earth element dissolves, loses its power, or wind element, we say, in motility, sense of motility. So all inhalation, exhalation ceases, movement ceases. There's no movement. And this is the wisdom of achieving activities, because there's no movement, there's nothing to achieve, there's no sense of purpose. And the tongue factor. And the inner experience here is like a sputtering, it says butter lamp because they're Tibetans, but a sputtering light, you know, candlelight about to go out. So we can think, yeah, this is really it this time. I am about to go out of existence. In this form. So in a sort of ordinary death process, this would be very freaky. But if we think about in Tantra, it's like, great, I'm getting rid of this gross, clunky body, you know, good, I'm getting to more subtle levels. Because the external elements now, the physicality is completely dissolved, no more physicality. And then the next three stages are dissolutions of the different levels of, you know, factors of the mind, conceptual thought. So they say there's, you know, 80 conceptual aspects that dissolve at this point. And the cause of this, so the fifth stage, cause of appearance, we talk about white appearance. You might have heard it in the practices. White appearance is, you know, think about the channels we were talking about yesterday. So the winds in the right and left channels above the heart chakra enter the central channel. So we did a little bit of this yesterday afternoon, but more generally. So all the, through the channels of the body, just think of that all the upper energy, wind energy, enters the central channel through the crown, top of the head, right? So it gathers in there. And so that causes this white appearance of, it's like a clear vacuity filled with white light. And that mind of white appearance dissolves. And so, you know, more conceptions, mental conceptions dissolving, the mind becoming more subtle, and the winds in the right and left channels below the heart enter the central channel. Sometimes it says at the base of the spines, because there's a debate about where that opening is, but as we said yesterday, it's about, you know, 4 finger widths below the navel. So we think it comes up there, enters in there, into the channels there. And there's an inner experience of vacuity filled with thick darkness. Oh, sorry, skipped one. Clear vacuity filled with red light. So it's like a autumn sunset, completely, sort of dark, clear sky. Red light. And then that mind of red increase dissolves. And the upper and lower winds, so the ones that have gathered above and below, enter into the center of the heart chakra, where there's a drop there, center of the heart. And so the first thing is an experience of dark appearance, mind of black near attainment, this is called. Like a clear vacuity. It's free of all the white and red appearances. It's a thick darkness, and then it's like you're swooning into unconsciousness. A sense of really the mind dissolving. So that mind of black near attainment dissolves, and all those winds that have gathered from above and below in the central channel dissolve into this life-bearing wind in that indestructible drop at the heart. And this is where we experience everything having dissolved, the Masota level of mind. So the mind completely free of white, red, black appearance, and it's completely clear light. So this is the innate clear light mind. So then we rest our awareness in that innate clear light mind, or recalling when we did that meditation yesterday, that experience of this pure, pristine mind, unobstructed by space, resting in its spaciousness and enjoying a sense of liberation from body, mind, from all of those conceptions, and a blissful release from our grasping at appearances, our, grasping at things, ourself and all phenomena. Completely free of that. So it's an experience of freedom, of joy, of bliss. Try and get a sense of that. Abide there. And when the mind starts to move, that movement of the mind, arising then in the most pure form of yourself, because you've dissolved everything into emptiness. Because of emptiness, everything is possible. So empty of this sense of myself, this body, this mind, my story, all conceptions and so forth. Completely free of all of that. So it's like spacious awareness from which anything at all can arise. So arising as the most pure form of yourself, of course, not having an empowerment, not like that. Simply everything completely, all the positive qualities perfected. completely free of all our neurotic thoughts and grasping minds. So all the positive qualities that are innate, I think they're completely fulfilled. And think that is me, that is who I truly am. Have that great delight in your virtue, in your being in this world, in this form, however you visualize that. So from within that bliss of emptiness through bodhicitta, saying, I must engage in the world to benefit others in this purified form. Really feel that. Be that. And then being that, open your eyes, transformed environment. It says here, I arise as the deity. So one who has a tantric empowerment can do that at this point. We have done, as Venerable Yangshin La and myself like to say, best version of myself. Best version, right? Arising in that purified form, that pure form. So here we can continue on in that form, unobstructed, with the blessing of the speech, okay? So here we are. On my tongue, a syllable ah transforms into a moon cushion on the tongue. On top of it appears a white syllable om, encircled by the white Sanskrit vowels ali, standing clockwise. So on the next page, those of us who have the book, it's got the Sanskrit vowels and it's got it there in Tibetan, and we visualize that, in the form of light, white light on our tongue, clockwise, going around in a clockwise direction. And then within that is the red Sanskrit consonants, Kali. Again, you can see on the next page. I'm not expecting you to be able to visualize this right now. I'm just saying for future reference, right? It's there. Actually, I like it when it's not done in such dark color because trying to visualize it. Anyway, we do our best, right? Just think it's there, basically. Oh, and circling counterclockwise. And then in the middle of that, if you're with me, then the blue heart mantra of dependent relation standing clockwise. So they're stacked up there. And light beams radiate from the syllable om, which transformed into a moon cushion, on top of a moon cushion, and the mantra garlands, hooking back the blessings and power of both mundane and supramundane speech. So all the holy beings, right? In the form of the 3 mantras that were visualized, the 7 sublime precious objects of the king's reign and the 8 auspicious signs up here on the altar. This includes the power of speech beyond samsara of all the Buddhas. The Arya Bodhisattvas are abiding in the 3 pure bhumis, 8, 9, 10, having had a direct realization of emptiness. And arhats, as well as the power of speech, not beyond samsara, and those engaged into the path, and also those sages, when we think of the great scholars and so forth, who have actualized the words of truth and have great power of their speech. So due to the power of abiding in silence and living in morality, of abstaining from negative karmas of speech. The words of those sages have so much power that whatever they pray for is successful. So we see this with the Arya Bodhisattvas, and then when they become Buddhas, their prayers are fulfilled. They become that Buddha according to the aspirational prayers they made. So like their area of speciality, you know. Or the blessings and power of the holy speech from those who are beyond samsara, having had a direct perceptual realization of emptiness, and those not beyond, are hooked back in the aspect of the 3 mantras, the 7 precious objects of the king's reign. It's what we said, but just more elaborate, and the 8 auspicious signs. So think the whole sky is filled with these, and they absorb into the mantras of your tongue, on your tongue, right? So you're getting all those blessings from all these beings on every atom of space coming in, empowering your speech. So then we do this recitation of the mantras for blessing the speech, these 3 coming up. So we do each one 3 times, and the visualization. So the Sanskrit vowels, the white ones, circling around clockwise on your tongue. White nectar beams flow down from the mantra and fill your whole body. All the atoms, all the cells, every particle of your being completely purified. All negative karma collected on your basis of your body, and any harm we've done on the basis of the body, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, so forth, from beginningless rebirths, so forever, are completely purified. So having a strong conviction of that, and we'll recite the mantra 3 times. Om a I o ri ri li li e u a swaha. Om a I o ri ri li li e u a swaha. Om a I o ri ri li li e u a swaha. Really feel your body completely purified, clean, clear, crystal. I mean, it's already purified, but even more pure than pure, right? And then as you recite the Sanskrit consonants, red ones, counterclockwise, red nectar beams flow down from the mantra and fill your whole body. All negative karmas collected with your speech from beginningless rebirth, completely purified. Really feel that. With the power of this practice, you're restoring the power of your speech. Om kaka gagana sasajajana prakradrajana tatabradana papababama yara lava shakatsahakya swaha. So there's a little note on the next page. When saying tratradradrana, the tip of the tongue up back on the roof of the mouth, and when saying tata dadana, behind the back teeth. Okay, so do your best. Om kaka gagana sasajajana pratradadana tata dadana papa babama yara lawa shakat sahatya swaha. Om kaka gagana sasajajana pratradadana tata dadana papa babama yara lawa shakat sahatya swaha. Then the heart mantra of dependent relation, blue, circling clockwise. Blue nectar beams flow down from the mantra. You always think nectar, light, it's all happening, right? Filling your whole body. All negative karmas collected with your mind from beginningless rebirths are completely purified. Omme ye dhammo hetu prabhava hetin teken tata gata hayavade teken sayo. So that number 14 says, take a break here between the yo and the ni, because otherwise it means something else. Teken sayo nirodha evam vadi maha shramane ye swaha ome ye dhammo hetu prabhava hetan teken tata gato hayavade teken sayo nirodha evam vadi maha shramane ye swaha ome ye dhammo hetu prabhava Hetan teken tata gato hayo vade teken sayo nirodha evam vade mahashramane swaha. Really feel that your mind completely purified from beginningless time, any negativities arising in the mind, all gone from beginningless rebirths, your mind again re-establishing the most subtle, clear light nature of mind, empty of all elaborations or empty of all imputations of the merely labeled I, the ordinary I, and so forth. Okay, so then that heart mantra that we just recited of dependent origination, relation, blue, absorbs then into the consonants, red, and then into the vowels, white, and the vowels into the syllable om on the moon cushion, and then that into the moon cushion. And the moon cushion then transforms. You see, everything keeps transforming, changing. Don't grasp at appearances. Transforming into the syllable ah. The ah melts into pink nectar and absorbs into my tongue, which becomes of the nature of a vajra. So the nature of the vajra, indestructible, sharp as, diamond cutter, cut through diamonds. Said it'd be like a lightning bolt. So your tongue becomes very heavy, strong, as if difficult to move, and as indestructible as a vajra. Nothing can harm, take away, or destroy the power of your mantras. So this is the important thing. Why we're blessing the speech, which we can do on a daily basis, we do for all our practice, to empower that ourselves, the power of your mantras. Nothing can take that away, including the black foods we talked about yesterday. Generate very strong faith that all the blessings and power of the speech of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all the holy beings, the sages, the yogis, and so forth that we visualized around us and have entered your speech, and your speech is perfected. Think, I have perfected my speech. What does perfected my speech mean? It means I have all the wisdom, I have all the compassion, the kindness of speech, not harsh words, not divisive words, not angry words, not incorrect words, so completely factual, not lying, and not idle chitter-chatter. So the power of the speech means your speech is very meaningful. The minute sentient beings hear your speech, it pacifies their emotional and disturbing thoughts, and whatever you say gets actualized. They do what you say. So if you think in this way, the power of your speech becomes marvelous, and whatever you recite is multiplied 10 million times. The power of your speech will not be diminished, as we said, by eating the wrong foods. Okay. So dedicate all of that Next page. May my tongue have all the courage of the ones gone to bliss. By the power of my glorious words, may all sentient beings be subdued. May all the meanings of whatever words I say be accomplished instantly. Okay. Having empowered the power of your speech, having engaged in this purification of the body, we're working on it, right? Body, speech, way to go. Go and enjoy this purified environment, pure realm of Chenrezig. We'll have a morning break. We'll have a half-hour break, folks. Back at 11. Yes? And think about in that break time, or discuss those who are here together. Graham, do we have to turn off? We're turning off? Yeah, we're turning off. So anyway, think about in the break time any questions, any... Hi, Margot.
Hello, yeah, just stop my life.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Cannot. Maybe just I'm going to go.
Anyway, we'll close. We'll stop it for now, and then yeah, questions. We'll have a discussion, questions and observations and so forth. I've got a few up my non-existent sleeves. I've got little sleeves. Okay, so back at 11.
Thank you. Bye.
See you soon. Enjoy your cuppa. Blissful enjoyment.